Good morning. I'm Jim Campanini, editor of the Sun of Lowell, Massachusetts. We're here this morning to greet Hun Manet from the great country of Cambodia to the Lowell Sun. We're happy to have you here. Thank you very much. We'll be speaking with him and discussing some issues, both common and international, for 1 hour. We have Grant Welker, reporter for the Sun, Dave McAdam, editorial page 8 editor, and Tom Zupa, who is our managing editor. Mr. Manet, thank you very much for coming today. We'd like to explain your visit to America, the purpose of it, and were you surprised by some of the reaction that you received in both Long Beach and Lowell, particularly the criticism after you were here 3 years ago, and it didn't seem like there were any major problems.
Yes, so first, thank you for having me here. And yes, I came here on the 8th and have visited Long Beach, California, and after that to Washington State, Texas, and last visit here in the U.S. in Lowell, Massachusetts. The purpose of my visit here is first to join many of Cambodian communities that organize a Cambodian New Year celebrations, and I got invited to join with Cambodian communities just for celebration of the New Year, and also to meet and greet, and also to pass out some information on the subjects of the people's interests regarding the development of the countries and other issues of the environment. The reaction is quite mixed, I think. Besides the people, Cambodian community who invite me, there were some groups that's organized protests, and up to today I do not know exactly what the real objective of the protest, because it's moved all the time. It started first with the opposition against my participation in the parade. I said I did know because I didn't want to have any issues, so Cambodian causing conflict during that important event. It's an event to show about our cultures, so we don't want to be tainted by other events, so I said I'm not going to participate in the parade. Even after that, the protests still going on. We were protesting against the organizers, we were screaming and yelling and all this stuff to the organizers and volunteers to join that. And also, it's moved somehow to the protest against even the dinner event that Cambodian communities organize and invite me to join, you know. And, you know, they start protesting, and then even not just against me, but also hurling insult and also threat against the people who just joined the event. And later on, it's moving to other topics now. I heard there's also some legal issues against me, which I'm not even aware of what, you know, is the case. So I do not understand the real objective of the organizers. Yeah, yes.
Well, the legal, I heard about that, where someone was trying to serve you a subpoena, and then it devolved into probably some fighting, involved some of your bodyguards. Did you ever receive the subpoena, the lawsuit?
See, the day I arrived, I didn't even know until I saw on the social medias the next day from Cambodia, people sending me that, hey, you are being sued for this and that. All I know is that, you know, the strike happened, and I didn't know what's the law in California either. The strikers got the permits to conduct a strike about 50 meters away. But for somehow, they were allowed to move in close within the 10 meters. And, you know, off the event site, from about 5 o'clock onwards, people was hurling insult, throwing objects at the people just waiting to join the event. And there were cases where people were being harassed, their cars being scratched, and their vehicle glass was broken. So they were pushing to that, closing to that. When I arrived, somehow, a later on I found out that there was a person who ran from that side to the crowd, and I think where we have about, a lot of people were waiting to go in also. There were our working group and also the, the people who joined the event, about, I think, close to 100 people there. And somehow, it tripped and fall, even the police was on spot there. There were 2 officers on spot there. So if it was an assault, I think they would be arrested right away.
Right. But they'll sort that out. But the lawsuit, I believe, stemmed from the arrest of the media director, the Cambodian National Rescue Party. A year ago, he was at some protest,
Right.
and it got out of control, and he was arrested. And I believe that these people are saying that because he was a U.S. citizen, that they're blaming you because you were the head of security forces for Cambodia. So what do you think this is just people trying to exploit the situation, or that there's some truth to that? I mean, you saw what happened in Long Beach, and no one arrested those protesters.
Right.
They had a right to do that, not to be violent.
Right.
If there's violence, then they're arrested. So is that what you feel that was?
There are 2 cases, separate cases. Let me address a few. I was addressing the issues I thought you were asking about, the charge that press, charge against whoever that say to my bodyguards are pushing with Mr. Paul Hayes. Soon be the name of the person who intends to. Regards to the case of Mr. Mizabanga, I think the accusations I read on, online, they accuse me of 3 things. One is illegal detainment of Mr. Mizabanga. 2 is international terrorism. And 3rd is something torture or something like that. Let me explain to you. I think you probably you could search all of these cases. And the arrest of Mr. Mizabanga is not illegal. After the election of 2013 to the end of 2013, there were 650 strikes, almost on, how many months, running through Cambodia, led by opposition parties, NGOs aligned with opposition parties, and some other groups. Those, some of them with right, some of them is illegal because it didn't obey the strike law, but the government did not arrest that. Until toward the end of December, when the strike turned violence, when group of people claimed to be factory workers go destroy factory fence, start burning stuff, destroy properties of workers who didn't join the strike, and that became a riot. So after the incidents, happened, after the order, the order was restored, there were a temporary lockdown on the suspension of the what we call the democratic sites where people rallying. So there were attempts led by the opposition's National Assembly members who got elected but didn't join the National Assembly back then, to try to liberate that force for 10 times, illegally, without permissions. One time it was asking to, so the first 9 times there wasn't any much serious. Also there was scaffold, people getting their head broken and things like that. But not much serious. On the 15th of July, that's when these incidents happened. About 300 protesters converged on that event. And there were, I think I could show you some of the evidence on that. Seeing of this, I think you're going to ask that. These are the result of that, and a lot of protesters going on down there. These are the security guys that got beaten on that day. It was so scared that the government said it's enough. So they arrest some people. These are not, there's many more on that. So these are the actions that happened on the 15th of July. One person almost lost his life on that. So he puts the, he put the complaint and all this stuff. So the strike, this is not peaceful strike. It's a violent strike. Even in the U.S. Constitution, does not, First Amendment does not guarantee that. So as a result, he was detained and prosecuted according to the law. So that is the case. So the illegal detainment of Mr. Mitsavanga is not the case. We have all legal case against, all that, That, I think that was probably your question, whether it is illegal or not.
Well, let's go back, because the rights abuses, even the State Department have written a recent report came out and talked about that. But before we get into that, 30 years ago, the Cambodian people came to America as refugees, both in Long Beach and Lowell. They came here with basically not even the shirt on their back, or just about. They were on U.S. assistance. Now, you look at what's transpired in these 30 years, most of them have become educated, gone to school, started businesses like we have in Lowell. They're prospering. They're doing well. You were educated yourself. Well, you went to the West Point, which is a very prestigious school. You know what we expect in America, and these people are great immigrants, determined in driving. And then they want the good things just like all Americans, and they have done it. 30 years ago, when your father took over as the leader of Cambodia, all right, you could say the same group, what has happened to those people? Have they made the same progress as the people who here have come to America? And if they haven't, why haven't they? And what do you see as the future of their friends, their families? And I think that's what, and we're just trying to communicate, make dialogue.
Yes, sir. I understand, I agree with you. I came the past few days and I've met thousands of Cambodians who joined, 500 in Long Beach, 300, almost 400 in Washington, over 300 in Texas. The people are successful, and I'm very grateful. I used to study here. I met many Cambodian people who become doctors and all this stuff. We left Cambodia with almost nothing. That is the great things that Cambodian people, and I'm very glad to see the success that we have among Cambodian people here. In Cambodia 30 years ago, it's about the same. People left about the same. Have you been to Cambodia, sir?
No.
Okay. You should have visit. Compare Cambodia. You cannot compare Cambodia today and the U.S. today. The condition is different. You cannot compare Cambodians who live in Cambodia and Cambodians who live here. The conditions are different. But you compare Cambodia there to Cambodia 30 years ago, you could say Cambodia in the last decades become the 6th fastest growing economy in the world, according to the World Bank. The 4th fastest country to reduce poverty. We have 2007, almost 50% poverty rate. In 2016, we have only 14 remaining, and we are growing. The poverty reduction indicates the level of people at the lower ends. We have moved from a poor country to a low middle income countries. The standard of people, living people is growing. In the city 2 days ago, and just knew that the local Cambodian paper criticized the government, I think. They say in Phnom Penh during the New Year no one celebrated. Not because people have no mood to celebrate, because most people left the country, left the city. They could afford. They went to Siem Reap, all packed there. They went outside, all the airplane ticket was booked. This indicates the rising level of, when you go to Cambodia, to Phnom Penh, it's a packed up with traffic jams. You go to the country, all the roads are being built, no more fighting areas. All the countryside, people has TVs, has, some areas have vehicles, has akuyun, something, the mechanized vehicles. What is it saying? Is their disposable incomes rising from a subsistence levels? Yes, there are peoples who are still left behind. We have a rising middle class, but you cannot have everybody rich at the same time. I went to Washington on the strip from Tacoma to Seattle. On the whole strip under the bridges are homeless there. This is in the richest country in the world. in Cambodia the same. But what Cambodia has done for the poorest one, we have come with many policies. So for example, we have an ID code for the identification for poor family. We go into each across countries in each commune and classify and identify what is the poorest ones. So we issue them as the poorest ones, so they got benefits such as free medical care is paid by the government. Without land, we give land concession. Tens of thousands of families have received that. You know, across the country, they give out about 4-point-something million titles to the lands, ownership across the countries. Before, didn't have it. After the Civil War, didn't have it. Now we used to do that. And all the prosperity, Cambodia become, you know, one of the most attractive countries in the for investment. Why? Because those investors, they already study all these conditions. The you know, all of this, the stabilities, the freedom, and all the stuff that we have.
Well, no doubt progress is being made.
Yes.
Okay, progress is being, we know that. But for some people, the progress isn't being done quickly enough on the democratic side. Now, does your father ask you for your input and your brother? And does he ask you for your ideas also on some of these issues that face him, these challenges?
Sir, he has all the bright minds around him.
Well, some people have said that you have a very important position. You have a very important position.
Yes, sir.
Okay, boy. You're here as the ambassador. You've met a lot of people in America when you were here, when you went to school here. You know the way we operate, and that's not to say it's a perfect way, but you obviously had to bring back some ideas from your education and say, well, this is the way we might try to do some things, or
Sir,
whatever.
You know, there's at any government or any organization, there's a structures, hierarchicals. Me, just in one of the level that contribute to my part. Around him, he got all the bright mind that educated in the Western world, educated and all over the place. They have been working with the World Bank. They've been working with all this bright mind to shape the ideas. For example, the SNEC, the Supreme National Council on Economics, they are combined with all the people with working and wealth of experience, even people who used to work at the international organization or big corporation in the US that return back, they put in there. So these are the people's of ideas incorporated into the world, because Cambodia have to incorporate into the world. So in order to do that, you have to get all the ideas, to get all the mechanisms and policies right in order to assimilate yourself into the world economy. You cannot adopt anything out of sight. You know?
Well, if you ever said to your father, gee, that was a good idea, or
Yes, sir.
Dad, that's not a good idea, have you ever said that?
So sometimes on a dinner table or whatever, he probably he would pop up with something, but most likely not much of the same as I've these discussions and that.
You made a good point about the economy.
Yes, sir.
I know there's been a lot of, John Kerry has been over, he met with your father in California, talk about trade, opportunities. But when businessmen look at that, they say, you mentioned stability, you know, a good trained workforce. Coming here with your delegation, is that you're looking at opportunities here in America, and how do you create that, foundation so that American businessmen, if I were a businessman, I would want to invest in Cambodia, at the same time, Cambodian companies investing here, maybe in Lowell, where we have some good opportunities too. Is that a possibility? But how do you create that stability?
Yes, sir. Actually, you know, there were rumors generated in the media, especially broadcast by the people who don't support
Blame the
my
media.
trip.
Blame the media.
Not you, just some media, sir. That I have 50 bodyguards travel with me. Not true. You know, we have a number
I didn't
of
see it.
working groups that's coming in. People from Ministry of Tourism, people from Chamber of Commerce, people from Education, and there's one of the events in Long Beach, beside the parade, we do have a cultural festivity exhibitions there that we organized. We brought in NGOs, we brought in people from tourism ministry and do the publicity there. We organized trade presentations there. We met with the in Texas, in Texas we met with the Texas Chamber of Commerce. I'm trying to bridge this. We meet with the Senate, in Seattle. We bring in and a possibility talk with Senator Don Benton. He went to Cambodia, also to bridge and bring in some business there to see the opportunities. This is the ideas, and one of the main visits is that. Last trip we came to Lowell. We, when I go back, we push for a sister city partnership, and the mayor of Lowell went there and signed it. And also the mayor of Lowell made a request to the ministry. The partnership is a chain of culture and education. When the mayor of Lowell went to meet the minister of culture, he made a request for some statue or something to represent the relationship, and the city of Lowell will send something else. So the Ministry of Culture sent the statue of Prabat Jiroman, for somehow Lowell City rejected it, and that's what puzzled me. I don't know how government in the U.S. work. When even the former mayor and the people who went there, who made the request for these officials, they were the one who opposed this. Not even recognize that they were their request. They asked for a sistership between cities and cities to promote relation between Cambodia, Phnom Penh and Lowell. So we could promote exchange of culture and education among communities here, beyond politics. So the government of Cambodia, based on that request, respond by sending this statue. It's an official response, but somehow it was not respected, and it was not like the government just out of blue sent it. It's based on the official request from the mayor, the former mayor, and when it's come, the former mayor himself, and also a few others that were in the delegation who requested, came against it. I don't mind if they don't accept or not, but I just puzzled. Why do people, this is not a personal attack or anything, but just the fact that there was no response that, hey, I made a request, I make a mistake, now I don't want it, or hey, I pushed for a sister city agreement and I made a mistake, so I want to rescind it. They should say something like that. It's, when you make a diplomatic relation or when you make a commitment in terms of official capacity, you should not let politics rule that. If you're subservient to politics, there's nothing gets things done. And that's what I was puzzled. I was taught in the U.S. and I studied about U.S. politics, but things happen in this few days has made me think again about the reality of the policy in the U.S. I've been, accused. The people, the protesters, and some people that share the view have been acting as the prosecutors, judge, and police themselves. The due process in the 14th Amendment U.S. wasn't applied, or even the Human Rights Declaration presumption of innocence until proven guilty. Even the UN's Human Rights Convention, Article 11, presumed that, but for some reason I have no chance of defending myself, and you allowed me to speak today. I think probably it was the closest chance for me to defend myself.
I'm not going to defend the actions of the city council, but I think some people get swept up in the moment. It could have been a small minority. Maybe it is the way the majority feels. But we wanted to have you in because I do agree with you. The only way we're going to get better relationships is the exchange of ideas. And I think I compliment you for coming in here and for us making the request and you accepting that, because I think that's the only way people are going to understand each other better and basically work out their problems. There are going to be disagreements along the way. Now, some people might not like the way the American government operates overseas, just like some people here might not like the way the Cambodian government operates. But I think trying to bridge those gaps mean a lot more in the long run than anything else. Any questions?
But don't get me wrong, you know what, the state just like refer to a certain official because it happened, but at the same time there are many other people. So I met over the city, over the strip, I met with senators, I met with mayors, I met with that. People who embrace, even thousands of Cambodians that's come, over thousands now, that's I count the numbers. Those are the people that, not all of them agree with my ideas, but they're being committed, they just want to come in this sense. And my view is that I'm not going to preach and say you have to believe me. I just want to pass you the information regarding some things that you're probably interested of, and ask away. And if you have any things, come to talk to me, and that's what happened during the dinners and things, they come and ask. That's what the whole idea is of, you know, people ask why, hey, you know, why you don't go back and start, when they start insulting the peoples there, why don't you incite the 500 peoples in there to come and outside and strike again? I think, what's the point, you know? By joining me, they all already expressed the idea of unity, to support, you know, my principle already, you know. The striker maybe have two objectives. One is to stop me from coming, and I said, well, what's the reason? I've done nothing wrong. I just respect the invitation of the Cambodian people. They're also Cambodians, Americans. This is organized, and they have nothing wrong. Two, if they want to say, hey, everywhere I go, there's Cambodian Americans don't support the government, and by me coming, it's symbolic. The result is not the same. You know, more people come to support the ideas to join the event than the people who stray. In Long Beach, there were about 150, 160, 500 inside that joined. In Seattle, there's about 60, 70 people protesting. We have over 300, close to 400 joining. In Texas, we have, they didn't call enough people to join to call us to strike. We have about 300 plus people because it's packed. There's no more room. I think tomorrow there's going to be more people, even to strike on strike. So the idea or the show is enough already that there's more people, a lot of people out there, you know, that's come. These not considered people, some people who just don't want to come because they're afraid of, you know, the consequence. Because in California, for example, I have people calling me after joining the event. There's people start to write messages to threaten them to boycott the business and all this stuff. And there's things like that. But you know, but despite all that, it's just a show of support for the unity. The being Khmer is a lot more than the people who say, hey, I'm closing my door. I accuse you of this, you must be guilty, and I don't want you here. More people want it, and that, I think that's the optimistic about and the key point, you know, the key message is clear, you know, it's that. Although they may not organize vocals to go to City Hall and yelling, but they also express it in a subtle way. So I think that's the message that a lot of people will see more district.
Your father has been Prime Minister for most of your life.
Yes.
Okay, so growing up around that and then coming here to study at the military academy, was politics something that you were always interested in? And do you see yourself, you know, if your father were to resign and then there's a democratic election, have you thought ahead of what your role in the People's Party would be?
You know, I've been asking these questions over and over again, and my answer is the same. I have not thought anything or made commitment any things about the futures. All I need is to fulfill my obligations and fulfill what I've done now, which is a lot already. I mean, in the securities, also in the humanitarian aspects, in the educations. You know, I'm in charge of scholarship program, providing about 2,000 slots to poor students at university every year. For medicals, we work with, have associations, we work with volunteers to go to province treating poor people, factory workers and things like that. So just handle that is, you know, it's a daunting task already. Just fulfill what I have on hand is better. For thinking of seeking political office, I haven't thought about it. It's you know, since I was small, I was younger, because of my father is in politics, everything I do has to be considered, you know, either a given, a privilege, or with a political ambition. So I think, you know, I always tell my friends, you know, life is too short. You cannot escape death. You're born with nothing, you die with nothing. What you leave is the memory that and the people are living. So what's the point of, you know, just trying to do, the opportunity that I've been given is fortunate already. So try to fulfill the best use of it. So the answer is sure, I haven't thought about it. Sorry.
You kind of addressed this a little bit before, but you were in Lowell just a few years ago, right? Was it 2 or 3 years ago?
October 2014.
2014, okay.
Yes.
So less than 2 years ago, and
Yes.
there wasn't much, there wasn't protest. It sort of came and went, I think, without much buzz. Why do you think it's different this time, both here and
I just answered the first question. I do not know the objective, because it's moving all the time. But moving from my opposition, from me joining the parade, to protesting me everywhere I go, even just dinner, with people who organize it. You know, it's surprising. The people who organize it themselves protest me, and the Cambodian people who joined the dinner, organize dinner on themselves, for party, and they enjoy it. On the night when I have the dinner in Long Beach, where a lot of people was go screaming and throwing all this stuff, in Lowell, the CNRP organized a dinner, and no one bothered for a fundraising dinner with Prince Tamakov joining. Excellency, who's of course supposed to come, but no one. Asking whether, because I got people who hate me, who don't agree with me, and the CNRP have everybody agree? No. Everybody has people who support and don't support, but the choice of taking actions against, to strike or taking action to just stay calm. That's one thing. For us, we stay calm. There's no point. They have the rights to do it. You know, their supporters have the rights to organize and invite anyone to come. Unless he is illegal, then the U.S. will not give him the visa to come. It was surprising during the event in Washington. One of the Seattle police was asking one of the protesters, he said, why you come to protest? He said, because Hun Manet is a communist, he come to spread the communist. And the protester asking the police, say, why? So if Saddam Hussein were to come here, you protect him? And the police officers respond to him, yes, if the U.S. government allowed a judge that he is qualified enough to come and give him the visa to come to the U.S., his job is to protect. So the protester just stopped and walked away.
Mm-hmm.
So the real reason I don't understand, you know, you have to go and ask them.
Yeah.
So the protesters are protected in Cambodia also. The protesters.
Sir, yes, sir, the legal protest, you know, we have from 2013 to now, we have over 1,000, almost 2,000 strike. You could look on Facebook, the right to assemble peacefully, a right to strike, all this stuff. But when you start become violent, become riot, then you're not protected.
Now, we've been following the U.S. presidential election
Yes, sir.
campaign?
Yes,
Okay. So, will there be free and open elections in Cambodia in 2018? I think that's what is percolating under the about this, because I know there's been discussions, a lot of negotiations between the parties about having a free and open election. Do you think that will transpire in 2018?
Oh yes, sir. We have elections in 1993, and each election is judged, you know, and you give, you know, evaluate differently by. But overall, the atmosphere was free and fair, you know. Also, there are complaints, certain type, you know, for example, 2013, there were complaints about lack of access to media. There were complaints about the National Election Committee that was ruled. So after the election, the two parties reformed that. The NEC, National Election Committee, has now 9 members that representation from the CNRP and the CPP and one. The CNRP have been given the license to open, to run a TV that they were complaining about before that didn't have it. So a lot improvements than 2013 and a lot of things. The opposition politician has been going around every day. If you go to Cambodia, they go to province. He says he comes a car and all the National Assemblymen go to the countryside all the time. Every day, every week to go to do campaign, meet the supporters. It's not only the election day, but they're doing now.
Okay. Well, this might seem funny to some, but it's really serious. In American elections, of course, the candidates say everything they want.
Yes.
Some of it truthful, some of it false.
Yes,
They just sometimes make things up.
Yes, sir.
But they're not put in jail if they say anything false.
Yes, sir.
Now, you have a situation which just recently about a former Lowell person who's a member of parliament now in Cambodia, who was showing the government alleges false maps about the logging. Now, he was put into jail. Now, I don't know, was it fraudulent? I don't know the real issues of it. But, if there were a campaign in Cambodia, and I was a candidate, and I said something that was false,
Yes, sir.
okay, would I be arrested, or would you just say, hey, that's not the truth, and here is the truth here, I'll show you right here? I mean,
So between a National Assemblyman, he has immunity, and a regular person. A regular person who make a false, people during campaign, they make all the time, but it depends on a certain scale. If it is insightful, that costs things. I will explain to you, there's 2 national members of assembly that's being detained and waiting trials. The reason is that, one, every national assemblyman has immunity, but immunity in our law has 2 levels. One, they have immunity absolute. That means you are protected for everything you say while you're on the floor performing your duties, trying to pass a law. That's no one can arrest you. The other one is immunity not absolute or relative. I forgot the name in English. Those are, one, if there's a crime that you not commit on spot, you are immune to it. No one can arrest you. They have to ask for the National Assemblies to vote 2/3 to lift your immunity before you get arrested. If you say you steal a car somewhere, they found the evidence, but they cannot arrest you. If you left the site already, they have to ask the National Assemblies to vote 2/3 to lift the immunity, then the police could move in. Third, if you are actually committed crime on spot, that means if you are driving the vehicle thief, they arrested you on spot. The U.S. I think the same. I remember there's several cases where the U.S. senators or something being handcuffed. One case where one of the senators, I forgot his name, sitting in front of the White House. The police ordered him to leave. He didn't. He joined the immigration protest, and the police just cuffed him. He has immunity, but he has violated the law on site. As in the government, right?
yeah.
That's something like that. But there are many cases like that. So there are immunities, but there are exceptions to the immunity. So in case of Mr. Hun Sen, I think you mentioned it, he just went back. He made a false accusations, false things about the map. And you know the map. Map issues is relating to nationalism. It's insightful things. People in Cambodia killing each other because of lands. I forgot the year, one of the Thai actors say Angkor Wat mistakenly, Angkor Wat was belonged to Thailand. The mob converged on Thai embassy, burned Thai properties and almost killed people. Inland border issues in Cambodia is very sensitive. When a National Assemblyman come out and try to do that and put that documents on there, he has to be responsible. This is insightful evidence. If it is cost the thing. He also let the people go to the border, risking the fight with the Vietnamese soldiers there, if there were a kill or something, if there were an accident or something that something happened, what was to put the lives on trial. As an assemblyman, he has other ways to do it. He could demand the border committee, the governments and the border committee, and explain that case, where is that post is there, and go make a committee and go study. But he didn't. He put it online, on site, and tried to provoke media and call the youth to rise up, to protect your land. What is that? You know, the First Amendment in the U.S. does protect free speech, but the speech that considered insightful, harmful to national security, or even just to defame someone else is liable, is not protected. Cambodia is the same. If you are a person of the high office at the national level, you better be held to a higher standard. Another person, the same thing. He put the conventions, he put a fake document about the treaty between 1979 between Cambodia, head of state back then, and the Vietnamese head of state. In the committee, they say observe the border before, but they Photoshop it, they say dissolve the border agreement before, and put it and come out and make a statement and try to explain and incite youth people to go and that. This is, if you know, it's just like Bin Laden to come or someone come and say, hey, you know, why don't we promote ISIS in here? You know, is it insightful? Is it protected by the First Amendment? The same thing.
Isn't the court supposed to decide that?
Yes, the court. Let me tell you. The police has the right to arrest, but the court is the one who make decisions to trial or not. The National Assembly and the Senate has to vote whether to allow continuations or not. The case of Mr. Hun Sen, because the case is arrested, they will try to get the National Assembly vote whether to allow continuation or investigation or not. There was not enough quorum, the opposition didn't join, so automatically it went to the further investigation, the court. The immunity of the two senators is still there. But because they committed on site, I mean there's actual evidence of his commitment on site, because on his site and he's coming to that, he is liable to stress. Another 53 CNRP's opposition is still working there. They still going around. They didn't make all this. So why is this, you know, why we should just be, you know, exercising the law? Why are we at fault at this? You know, it's quite unfair. You know, it's the lawmakers that don't obey the law on a subject that knowingly is insightful, just talk political game, putting security at jeopardy. On this is what happened, you know. Is there a sense of responsibility to this? You know, with everything the government do, everything is according to the law. I don't know what you have seen or heard about the interpretation, but it is this the case.
Well, the only thing is, you know, the American government has made mistakes, okay, and when it makes mistakes, it's held accountable for it. It's either through fair elections or the government gets sued and they have to make restitution and whatever. Like you mentioned, we have government officials who've been arrested and gone to jail.
Right.
So does the Cambodian government ever make mistakes? I mean, doesn't the judiciary have to decide this case?
Yes, it is the judiciary. That's why they let the process is going to go. The defendant will have his lawyer. He have his lawyers already make statement, and then the due process, the legal process follows. He's not been, I guess, decided by the court. He just held there, and in the process, his defense lawyer is preparing the case to go, and that is, you know, it passed through the court now.
Okay, I started this out by talking about the presidential election in the United States.
Right.
Any thoughts on, because we have had a lot of, I mean, if our presidential candidates were arrested by falsehood, we wouldn't have any candidates. You know, they could be arrested for that. But any thoughts on what's transpiring and what might take place in America? Do you think, with
You know who's winning?
Donald Trump and Ted Cruz, and John Kasich, and on the Democratic side, you have Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. Have you met any of them? Well, you met
I met,
Mrs. Clinton, haven't you?
Mrs. Clinton, yes.
Yeah.
During her visit, during the ASEAN meeting there. Well, for me to say who's winning, I don't know. But I think it's going to be an exciting one. It has been exciting already.
Good.
I was wondering, your visit to this country sounded like it was more of a cultural business objective, but it's kind of turned into a diplomatic, political, putting out fires. I don't know what the word would be.
I didn't like the fire.
No. I was just struck when at the city council meeting a few weeks ago when this whole uproar came to a head. It was a good thing in a way because the whole chamber was filled with Cambodian Americans who felt, and they were pro and con, and it wasn't all one way. But I was just struck by how many people still seem that they're being, even though they're 8,000, 10,000 miles away from Cambodia, they still feel that the forces there still have some control over them. Even some people are saying, we know there are spies here that they're looking at everything we do, and we're afraid. We're afraid of what might happen if we say something or don't say something. And you're going to have a nice dinner tomorrow night with a big crowd of your fellow countrymen. What can you say to them? I mean, sure.
Sure, that's the thing is, I've met people, Cambodian people all over the world, regardless of where they live. The hardest thing is Cambodia. Those Cambodian people, they want to know what's going on. They want to know what is the well-being of the people inside. That's why they try to seek all the information. The past, somehow, the access to information and the given to information has been not balanced. A lot of people were stuck with the past about the Vietnamese taking the land and all this stuff. The issues about the Vietnamese has been, it is still for centuries, and now it still has been the topic that certain parties have used it as the nationalism. And I've gone around and trying to explain people about, what is the reality on the ground, People will say, hey, people are poor there because they take picture of the shed. That is it. All the people in Cambodia are poor because they haven't been there for 36 years after that. So they believe it. They didn't know that Cambodia has, the sixth fastest growth, become that. People have this and that. It's the message that I give is what people, on the subject that they want to know. Will they lose their land? Is the water issues, like they say. Is the Vietnamese going to take over the land? So they're going to have no homeland anymore, Cambodia. That's what the other side has been preaching. I'll go and explain why this is not being concerned, because you base on the international rule, based on international border and things like that. Why the immigration? They say the Vietnamese is come take over. I've go to explain what the government has done on immigration. How do we control that? We implement immigration law. We try to restrict on that. What is the issue with land conflict? We'll explain to them, yes, there are conflict, but we have this mechanism solved. Millions of people have received land. The concession land that's not operated has been taken out and provided as the what we call the social land to the people who land us, peoples. These are the information that they don't get. They get the others. That's why you have people who live with the past about the tragedies and I think for 36 years the country is undeveloped and all this stuff. So I give them information and they don't have to believe me. All they do is to pass them information they could use as a balance. And people against me, they say I come to preach communism. These are the messages that I give. So I give people the truth from our perspective, what the government has done. The social program for the poor and all this stuff. This one side is the government does not care about the poor, they always destroy the poor. About logging, what the government has done to all this stuff, information and talk to them about, the prosperity and encourage people to come back and engage with the, Asian countries. And this is what my mission outside, we make this association, connection with communities outside in France and things like that, promote culture and education, what we can support there for the younger Cambodian generation who was born there and have to attach their root. With Lowell City, the same thing, but unfortunately for now, I heard that they are moved to try to rescind the sister cities engagement. I think that's a big mistake because there are things that officials have to rise up and say this is for mutual benefit of the people we got. It's not bound to the party, and if you're subject to politics all the time, what's going to happen? If later on there's another government in Cambodia, there's opposition here, they always have, that's nothing get done. So that's what I was so amazed about the statue. It's not because, I don't care if the statue is Congressive or not, but just why it is. It is an official sister city that the mayor requested and facilitated to sign, and the mayor made an official request to the Ministry of Culture and sent back. And we sent, and they just don't say anything, they just reject. Even the people, the very people who made the official request came out against it, pretending that they didn't even know the request before. That's amazed me about this. It's, I just stating the facts. I'm not stating any names. The people who make the request already know that. But they should rise up. Otherwise, culture and education, if it is left to the hostage of politics, then nothing's going to get done. People have, that have to be, because 200 people does not represent the opinion of the people. If you say, hey, 30,000 people live in Lowell, doing an opinion poll, say, do you support sister citizenship between Lowell and Phnom Penh and promoting our culture and education, no politics? Then you get the answers. But just 200 people that they gathered from Lynn, from over somewhere, it's not sure. It's not a representation.
Well, maybe after your words today in the appeal, things might be able to change. But they probably should have had that dialogue before they decided to do this.
That's why I say.
And that's why we want to keep open the lines of communication. Do you think this will harm relationships between the people of Cambodia and the citizens of Lowell?
Sir, no. I think Cambodians as the Cambodians, like I say, outside. For example, I don't speak on represent on others, but I think for the government side, I think it's about the same. We don't retaliate. We don't even counter-strike. We don't organize a strike. We have supporters in Long Beach too. 500 people show up to the thing. We take just 50 of them, go and put on a strike when they organize dinner. It's the same, but we don't. We are, I'm promoting peace and unity. That's the only way to move past this. I want you, to be like today, sit down.
Yeah.
I talked to, before I left too, the media was asking me in Cambodia. They said, hey, if the opposition want to talk, I said, hey, welcome. Don't, there's a point when you strike, that means you shut the idea of talking already. You are committed to but if you want to talk, just come and talk, sit, drink coffee or something and discuss.
Well, that situation has affected a lot of people, even locally in politics. You've met Mr. Radi Mom,
Yes.
who was the first state representative in America, Cambodian America, who was elected. I mean, Paul ran against him. Now they've come together for what they feel is the best interest of the district. Not only Cambodians, but everybody who live in that district. And some people were putting him in the middle of all this. And it was a former city councilor who was an elected city councilor, really young, who met with your father when he went years ago, when he was first elected city councilor. So, so it seemed like they were everybody was trying to divide everybody instead of coming together and say, you know, let's discuss things. So it's not just you, it's affected a lot of people, and I think roiled the community in a way that, you know, hopefully it will heal and things will come back to normal. But some people are still going to disagree, and that's their right. And other people are going to agree. But I think hopefully this will work out and keep open the lines of communication.
So I think, you know, you're right. I think any protest, regardless whatever size it's turned out, it's always come out to that organizers group. You know, probably 10% or maybe not a lot. They're the ones who organize and go and stage people and try to get people to come out. Most people didn't know what to come out. You know, even the strikers in California, you know, during a live TV on video, Voice of America, one of the lady holding a protest site, the reporter asking, do you know who you're protesting again? She looked at him, I don't recognize him. And she said, so why is that you're supposed to know? Oh, that guy gave it to me. Things like that. It is unfortunate that this small group of people have chosen this way. You know, they should choose a more conciliatory approach. Sit down and talk instead of trying to get everybody to close mind. And this has nothing to have the country or have the communities. It's divided. And they try to blame me because I'm here. I'd be the factor of division. I was like, really? I've been invited here by Cambodian Americans who organize it, who say there shouldn't be color painting between people who live in Cambodia or not, regardless of political line. So they invite me to join dinner for reception for the New Year. Is it something wrong? No, it's not illegal. They have the right to do that. However, do I have the right to be here? Yes, I have the right to be here. They should respect that. If they want to have some things about disagree on that, why don't sit and talk instead of trying to spread painting the people who organize this as, you know, they've been calling names to people who join Smite. They say that these people are cheap, these people are selling their head to the Vietnamese, these are crooked. They've been sending message about the people there getting paid $300 each to go. I was like, that's insulting to Cambodian community who work hard to their life. If they don't like me, they don't come. If I give them $1 million, they won't come. But many of them drive, so I respect that. You know, and thanks for that to show their support as well. But you know, I wish the organizers of this event, the people who led the protests, organized and all this stuff, they could think of a more conciliatory approach to express their opinions. And, you know, are open for them to sit and talk, but they didn't choose that option. I put that on the interview with Radio Friends International. It's broadcast over the world. Everybody knows that I open for talk, but they didn't choose that. Choose protest. So I think, I don't know if you know. They want to ask what the reason. Ask them.
We have a couple of minutes there.
Well, I was going to ask, you know, what would need to happen on this trip, either in Lowell specifically or to the U.S., to make it a success? Do you have any goals in mind? How would this
the goal?
Successful trip to you?
You know, success. I think the fact that it's been divided is already not a success already in terms of unities, but at least we do have hope, because I think there's really a silent majority out there that still support the idea of unities, just by the showing of some of the people who joined the event. I think just to have that evidence that there are silent majorities out there that support the ideas of, you know, politics aside, you are Khmer, that is the success already. And the past 3 events, even in Long Beach, we call the hottest one, that, you know, with all this threat before and during and after, people still come and join the event to show a support. And it's not something any trick. They know for a while before they come that it is come to join with me, and they always protest about 2 or 3 weeks before, warning people not to come. The people still come to join and show the support, the unity. So that is success, I think. Fortunately, the idea of division exists. I hope that in the future it will not. There's more of tolerance, more of understanding. I think the better approach. I think that should be the case. Otherwise, we will keep fighting forever. 500 years. That we just from 98 now, I think, on 18 years only that we just achieved total peace. 500 years of our history. We never have a time that Cambodia, as a country without a pocket of armed resistance. So now we have complete.
One final question.
Yes,
Looking at Southeast Asia, do you feel the worldview, it's more peaceful now, or they have more challenges they're facing than they were 30 years ago? I mean, there's been a lot of tension in the South China Sea there between Japan, China. You've got North Korea shooting off ballistic missiles, it seems like every week. I mean, what's your view? Are things going to be the future of the Southeast Asia? Is it one of peace, or are you going to continue to have these challenges and hopefully no confrontation?
I think the ideas of Cold War's return, I think, from my opinion, it won't happen because the world is very integrated, economic integration and all this stuff. You know, you're talking about state relations, you talk about political, military, and economics. Before you got the Cold War, you got economics, military, and politicals all totally separate. Now it's crossed. So I think that will be the bonding to, as a channel, even the worst time will still keep that going. I think in the future, you know, human history, thousands of years always have issues. So I think from one issues to another. But I think the ideas of the South China Sea issues, Cambodian positions, that we hope that they will be solved peacefully. We have DOC, the Declaration of the Code of Conduct of the Parties. We work on the Code of Conduct. But even China and Southeast Asian countries, the same, engage in a war will be economically and politically is not worthwhile for them. So it's just how they solve that. I think, but the objective is to keep it peaceful because there are other things at stake. That's just my view. But like I say, you know, new issues will come again. Terrorism, economic wars, or something, new war, cyber warfare, or whatever. That's always the case. But at each, whatever, the risk of breakdown and being isolation like before, I think is less likely.
Well, I want to thank you very much, Hun Manet, for taking this time with us and sharing your thoughts and ideas. And hopefully you will come back to Lowell soon, and hopefully we'll see some economic development between the two countries. So thank you very much. Stay well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Enjoy your stay.